WuWa is the worst game mode in the game, bro. They need to just remove that shit straight up.
Brother, it's not balanced. There's something deeply wrong with this fucking reset.
Alright, as you all know, the HP inflation and Wuthering waves is a massive problem. For those who are still coping, there are graphs to prove it. To be fair, there's no winning for Kuro. If the game's too easy, the game is bad. If the game is too hard, the game is bad. But what they need to do is find a middle ground between the two. It doesn't matter if you agree or not, but there has been a massive power creep ever since launch. It's just that with the most recent resets of Tower of Adversity and Wuthering waves, it has become way more noticeable, because now the average player is struggling to clear the 4,500 points needed to receive all the rewards in Wuthering waves. Now, as you can see, I've cleared with my Zani and Brand teams, but unfortunately my Zani is the exception due to my wallet. So I have decided to try with my Camellia team just like everyone else did, and I struggled. You could say it's a skill issue or even a gear issue, but my last reset for Camellia I could clear without a problem. I will be honest though, my Camellia is a little outdated in terms of her build, but that's no reason to feel like she's on life support. So with that being said, I did try several times trying to clear 2,400 points at minimum. I tried over and over and over again, but still failed. So if I'm failing, how much do you think the other players are struggling? And no, I'm not talking about the players that have high-end builds because they can still barely clear. I'm talking about the players that barely play with below average or average builds on their characters. These players make up majority of the player base, so if majority of your players can't clear the content, there will be backlash, and as you can see, there already is. So let's have a quick look at how much HP inflation there has been across TOA and WuWa. First off, starting with TOA, we can already see there is HP inflation ever since launch. Very minor, but it's there. So if we keep going down the list, you can see it starts to pick up around version 1.3, with the HP being around 19% more than what it was on launch. But if we take a look at the resets around 2.4, on average, it was a 70% increase in HP from what it was on launch. Very soon, at this rate, the next couple, if not the next reset, could be almost 100% more than the first couple TOA resets. Now, if Courier intended to slowly build us up to this point, then they shouldn't be shilling every reset to the new characters coming out with buffs that directly benefit them. This gives players a lot of PTSD, as most would be comparing this to Genshin Impact as they did the exact same thing. Kuro really needs to make it so the floor buffs being provided are more generalized so that more units can use them, or they need to make it so that we can choose the floor buff that we want so it's more fair to the entire player base, as not everyone is going to have the same characters. At this rate, every TOA reset is going to feel like you're required to pull a new unit to clear the new resets, so the only conclusion that the community will come to is that the endgame is now behind a paywall. Now let's have a look at Wuthering Waste, otherwise known as the worst endgame mode we have. It's also sharing the same fate of TOA with HP inflation, while also having the tokens and reset buffs be tailored towards certain characters. For example, if we have a look at these three tokens, the first one being tailored towards fusion teams, the second one being what the community can only predict to be Augusta, a unit that hasn't even been released yet, and the third one being tailored towards Prolova. Now, I'm all for new tokens being made, but this game mode is already disliked by the community, so having everything be tailored to the newer units and units not even released yet is not a good look when creators and players alike want to remove the game mode entirely already. Fortunately, I do have a graph here showing the most recent resets for WuWa. Also, I just want to make it clear we're on reset 6 with the previous being 5 and 7 being what's predicted to come. So when we have a look at this graph, we can see on average there's a 105% increase in HP inflation. But if you look to the right, you can see there's been a 10% increase in resistance, going from 10 to 40% to 20 to 50%, making it basically 130% since the last reset, which is nuts when you think about it. It's not like the game mode can't be redeemed, and to do so is pretty easy. All they need to do is stop rotating tokens out, bring back the previous ones, and put them under some kind of legacy section or where they were originally. Then, they need to make the spawns faster because the wave spawn speed is attached to ping, which is very bad game design. And finally, make it so they can swap the floor buffs around or select their own. This is probably the only turning point for Kuro games to fix the HP inflation and endgame modes, otherwise we'll all be traveling down a very familiar path. So we just have to wait and see how Kuro responds, because depending on what they do, there will either be praise or major community backlash. If you agree or disagree with anything I said, let me know down below, and if you enjoyed this video, go leave a like, comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching.